The spoilers for the 6th chapter of Two Blue Vortex are just around the corner, and chances are another glimpse of past is about to reveal something really interesting. After being teased for over 7 years, maybe it's the right time for the Jougan to enter the panels of the manga. But why exactly do I think so? Well, there are quite a few hints which indicate Boruto must have already awakened the pure eye during the time skip period, and today I will be going over all of them. We even got a panel from the upcoming chapter featuring Mitsuki, and if you hit that sub button, you will get the spoilers before anyone else. I will also be discussing a subtle possibility that will debunk all the Jougan being filler arguments, so stay tuned. First and foremost, there are some solid reasons for the awakening of this eye to be associated with Kashin Koji, the mentor of Boruto, and here is why. Ishiki referred to him as Star of Change, and Jougan is popularized as the Star of Hope. The fact that Koji became the master of Boruto when he lost Sasuke means that he is the personification of hope in his life. Similarly, the Jougan is the materialization of hope in Boruto's fate for reasons we can't overlook. But before going there, let's break down why Koji is entitled as the Star of Change and what it has to do with the pure eye. While it's clear that it draws a parallel between him and his student, the more amazing part lies within his potential to break out of predetermined paths, like how he was originally a part of the Kara organization but was destined to betray its leader at some point. Similarly, as everyone is under the omnipotent spell at present, he's among the very few people who are standing with the truth. The Star of Change title also reflects his relationship with Boruto in a celestial manner. It could be that Boruto is metaphorically guided by a guardian star, which is Koji, and as we have seen him cheating his destiny before, it's very likely for him to help Boruto in bringing a dramatic transformation to his fate as well. Now here is how I believe Koji could pave the way for the Jougan's awakening. Since both of them evoke celestial imagery, it could be taken as a symbolism of direction and influence. Star of Hope indicates leading to a brighter future, while Star of Change implies driving the transformation towards that hope. So the possibility for Koji making Boruto aware about his pure eye is definitely there, and a few solid reasons to back this theory are even more interesting. But to understand them better, let me remind you of a few quotes of Toneri Otsutsuki. He was the one who mentioned the Jougan to Boruto and called it the Star of Hope. Further, he also said some gods are about to return to Earth very soon, which could be a reference to Otsutsuki gods, or maybe even the Shinjus. This panel of an Otsutsuki god depicts Jougan looking eyes in the background, which only means one thing. The Jougan is an eye possessed by an Otsutsuki who elevates to the next plane of existence, and Koji knows this only because he was modified by a scientist who is known to possess the remains of an Otsutsuki god. Koji still had some tours of Amado that he gave to Boruto, which means he must be knowing the lore of Shibai Otsutsuki as well. So when he would see Boruto with an eye, which clearly fits the description of a godly dojutsu, he would instantly know that he is training the savior of this world. It makes sense because he is fulfilling the purpose that was left incomplete by Jiraiya, finding a child of prophecy who will save the shinobi world. And as Toneri has already quoted Boruto as the one who will dispel the darkness, it's very likely for him to wield an eye that was bestowed upon him by an Otsutsuki god, and Koji seeing it as a sign that he's on the right path makes even more sense. So now let's talk about the second possibility of Boruto's Jougan awakening. Chances are it didn't awaken during the 3-year period and will appear in Boruto's right eye after a while, most likely during the Shinju battle or after Konoha gets destroyed. The reason for this is simple. We have a flash forward scene as the focal point, and every ongoing event in the story will eventually lead us there. This means Boruto needs to unlock this power before Konoha gets destroyed, otherwise it won't make sense to the plot. The Jougan was shown in the latest episode of the anime, so there is no chance of it getting retconned. What I think is that there must be some trigger points for Boruto that will let him use this dojutsu. The Shinjus could be a good trigger, with Boruto being able to predict their arrival, just like how we foresaw the portals of Urashiki in the anime. Coming on to the possibility that I believe will remove the non-canon tag from the Jougan, the Boruto anime seems to be left with only 7 episodes, as there are almost 13 chapters left to be adapted, and a single episode covers at least 2 chapters. This means part 1 of the anime will conclude on episode 300. Now the thing that will confirm the canonical existence of the Jougan is the anime adaptation of this panel. Here you can see Shibai the Otsutsuki god having the Dharma gun in his left eye and a mysterious dojutsu in the right. While the majority believe it to be the Jougan, the anime counterpart of this panel could turn their beliefs into reality. It won't make sense for an Otsutsuki god to use an ordinary Byakugan, so it's pretty evident that Shibai is using the pure eye Jougan. I even believe that this mysterious dojutsu must have made an appearance in the manga before this panel gets an anime adaptation. So now that we know Shibai could be the key behind Boruto's troublesome eye, let's look at some more hints that indicate Koji revealed the Jougan to Boruto. Firstly, Shibai's power of manifesting thunderbolts and lightning with an arm swing was depicted in this panel, and if you look closely, it looks really similar to Boruto activating the Uzuhiko ability. This raises a slight possibility that Koji had some intel on the secret powers of Shibai that he instructed to Boruto. And how did Koji know that his disciple would be able to handle such godly power? The fact that Uzuhiko swirls the whole rotation of the planet is not a nominal feat at all. This technique must be used by Otsuzukis, or I should say higher level Otsuzukis, and the only reason which helped Boruto in mastering this ability must be the Jougan. So Kashin Koji teaching Boruto the Uzuhiko after he witnessed the Pure Eye awakening is very plausible. Another massive hint for Koji to be aware of Boruto's hidden power are the abandoned Kara cyborgs Aida and Daemon. We know he was the right hand of Amado, which means he must be aware of all his schemes, including his overpowered creations. Aida and Daemon's eyes transformed into the shape of a crescent after being modified with Shibai's genes. This means Shibai Otsutsuki somehow related to the moon. That's why his DNA turns the eyes of the vessel into this celestial shape. So Boruto's Jougan being in the shape of a full moon only indicates that it's from Shibai Otsutsuki. All these hints must have motivated Koji to teach him all the Shinjutsus and make him the strongest warrior alive. Now this brings us to another big plot point that many of you might have overlooked. It was a really hyped topic when the second chapter was released, but ever since the Shinjus awakened, no one seems to talk about this much. How was Boruto aware about the worst future, the fate of claw grimes, and the identity of Shinjus? I believe it was the foresight power of the Jougan which revealed this to Boruto for a very sensible reason. Back in chapter 5, Koji said to Boruto that they can't avoid fighting. Well, he can't be talking about code cause he was too easy to deal with. He was definitely referring to the Shinjus, which means he also knows that these creatures need to be dealt with in the hard way. The only plausible way for Koji to have the knowledge of these creatures must be the future seeing power of the Jougan. Boruto must have narrated everything to Koji about these new enemies, and being the wise old man he is, Koji decided to train Boruto for 2 years in order to make him capable of fighting the Shinjus. One thing is clear, that they both knew if Boruto arrived in the dimension of code early, things could have taken a better turn, which means the future that he foresaw is liable to change. Now you could say that if that was the case, then Omnipotence incident was preventable as well. Well, that was a completely different case, and let me explain how. When Momoshiki and Boruto were talking about their thoughts leakage, the monster took this opportunity and activated his Byakugan through Boruto to see a quick glimpse of future. Here he himself saw the future of Boruto to confirm how the Blue Eyes prophecy shall work out. A chapter later he figures out the identity of Aida's charm, which is obviously the Omnipotence, and everything starts making sense after that. Momoshiki did not try to change the future, rather he played a role in fastening the events by helping Kawaki. However, when it comes to Boruto and his own foresight power, he tries his best to avoid the worst scenarios. But as said by Kashin Koji, no matter what they do, they will need to fight. In my opinion, Boruto shouldn't be able to change his destiny until it's a life or death scenario, only because that would mean this scene from the prologue was just one of the possible futures that Boruto was able to avoid, which would ruin the whole build-up of the story. Well, an Otsutsuki vs Shinju conflict could happen soon in the story, and you can check out this video to find out more about it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.